Hello and welcome to Die Rollin. I'm the ever excitable Adam, and today I'm here to talk to you about Stormweavers. So, Stormweavers is this is a review copy we sent, so thank you very much for that. This is a solo tabletop game. So if you've ever played anything like, and when I say play, I mean read, anything like the fighting fantasy games or a choose your own adventure, this is what this essentially is, a choose your own adventure. Now, what makes this different from other choose your own adventures is the fact that you actually, when you get to combat, you actually have like some battle maps that you lay out, and you have little miniature kind of like metallic standees you're moving around to fight the enemies in here. You'll be rolling dice, you'll be flipping coins at points, and the general story is you are a dwarf called Thyman. And if I'm honest, I've never played a dwarf that often when I'm doing any kind of like fantasy board game or like tabletop role-playing game, or even like a game book like this. So it's quite interesting to be playing a dwarf. And yeah, just reading through it, they've got a really good kind of thick history for the world in there. You feel there's a lot of good world building in there. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So you're playing Thyman and you are trying to rescue a friend essentially, but you're going to go around this little kingdom fighting various different monsters. And yeah, obviously I don't really want to go into too much detail about the plot of this because obviously it's a book and I don't want to spoil it for you guys. But suffice to say, it's quite an interesting kind of thing they've done here. They've taken elements of tabletop board games and role-playing games and also game books, and they've combined them together. The artwork in this game is superb. Obviously, as I'm talking, I will probably edit some little images over the top of this so you can see just what I'm talking about. But yeah, all you need to play this game is you need a pencil, you need a rubber, and you need some dice. But I think you can just use the dice at the bottom of here. You flick to random pages. But yeah, just 2d6 and you're pretty much set, and a coin. We got a metal coin that came with the review copy, so that's pretty fun to flip as well. So yeah, I mean, what can I say? The positives to this are the fact that, you know, during lockdown, I really embraced solo gaming. It's something, as you can see behind me, I have a few games here, and yeah, a lot of them have solo modes. And before lockdown, if I'm honest, I didn't really like playing these kind of games on my own. But then after a while, I was like, I really need to make some content for the YouTube channel, and I've got these games and I want to play games, but my significant other isn't really as into gaming as I am, so what can I do? I know, I can play some solo gaming. And so I really got into that, and over this period as well, being able to play like Alba, for instance, by ITB, that was also a really good game book. So when I heard about this, I was like, oh, it's got like some really cool kind of tabletop elements to this as well. So I'd really like to see how that plays out. And yeah, this kind of thing right now is something I'm really into. And I've got a holiday coming up in a month or so. And I'm going to be taking a few of these game books with me as well. Because my significant I like to read, and I could like to play as well. So why not combine the two? So like I said, there's lots of positives here. It's a good story. It's really, really immersive as well. The world building in this is really good. So it's not, it just kind of draws you in from the kind of offset, really. And you have lots of choices in here. The combat, for instance, you've got options. It's not just rolling dice and you know, rolling dice and rolling dice and rolling dice. You do, when you're on the combat map, get some different kind of abilities where you want to go and stuff. And depending on where you're on the battlefield, sometimes that actually affects your choices or what you have to read. So yeah, so like that's quite an interesting thing as well. Negatives from this, the only negative I would say for this is reading through this prototype version I have here, some of the English doesn't quite track right. I spoke to the creator of this, and it's something they are going to kind of resolve with the actual version that comes out on the Kickstarter. So don't let that put you off. Like I say, there was some it didn't quite track right in some points, but yeah, it didn't really detract too much from there. And as I say, it is something they will be fixing during the Kickstarter. If you really like fantasy, role-playing games, tabletop board games, game books, this is a really good little game to pick up. I'd just like to say, I've not been paid for this review or anything. I've just been sent a copy, like all our review copies. These are totally unbiased. But I would pick this up. The Polish version, so if you're Polish and you're kind of watching this video, Polish version is like even thicker. And has, maybe because the language is longer, I I don't know. I'm not a linguist. Is that even the right term? I don't know. But yeah, there's a ton of content in this book, and there's multiple endings, and you can also die, and there's a little ending there. So it's well worth checking this out. So yeah, they've got a Kickstarter. Please check them out. Don't take my word for it. Have a look at their Kickstarter. And if you are looking for a fantasy solo game and you're kind of a bit burnt out from all the setup that you have to have with things like Gloomhaven or Descent or anything like that, any of those kind of heavy tabletop board games which have have a fantasy kind of theme, then these kind of books are great because there's no setup. You just have to read a couple of pages to understand what your character is, make some decisions about where you're going to put stats, and just get some dice and you can start playing. And also, there's a handy little kind of bookmark in here as well, so you could just save your position rather than having to put all the cards into a particular place and all your abilities and things what you would have to do in a board game. So yes, so waffling on here. I would highly recommend taking a look at Stormweavers. It's a fun little book, and yeah, well worth it if you're into fantasy, especially if you're into dwarves. So yeah, check that out. I've been Adam. If you enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe to our various different social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and of course YouTube. Until next time, guys, stay safe and keep rolling.